This is Julio's Corner, my corner of the internet where I talk about whatever is on my mind. It's usually media that I've watched, read, or listened to. In this episode, we're going to talk about trying to speak Spanish and watching La Baby Sister. This episode is being recorded on Sunday, May 24th, 2026. And welcome back to the show. Bienvenidos. Este es Julio de Nueva York, Julio from New York, as always. And as you hear in my bad Spanglish attempt, estoy tratando de hablar español. I want to get fluent in Spanish. And part of it is because, well, I mean, my name is Julio, right? I should not just look the part, but also, I mean, it's in my heritage being Colombian American. And also, who knows, maybe in a few years from now, I'll be able to leave the hellscape that is America. And if I want to go to Europe, I'm thinking Spain might not be a bad course of action. Reason being, I was thinking about it as I've been saying, or I think I've been saying on this show. I know I've been saying it to whoever would listen to me in person, that I want to leave the US, of course, but also I was thinking of Europe because Canada's just too close to this place. And of course, Latin America is always being bullied by this country. So that's not a good option either. So Europe would be my next place to escape to emigrate. However, England is also very Zionist, and they are kind of fascist in their, constant 24-hour, 7 days a week surveillance in their country. And also, I mean, the whole Brexit thing that happened to leave the European Union, and they're just very anti-immigration as well. So they're not, and of course they're the motherland of this country, so to speak. They created the U.S. in the first place. We were originally their colonies, and then we, had a revolution, what they would call a civil war, and broke away and became what it, the bastion of American empire. Anyways, so England isn't really a good option. English is spoken throughout most of the world, but I feel obviously it's not the primary language of every country in the world. So England would be the place where English would be good. However, not a good option. It's not that much dissimilar from the U.S. in terms of the political climate. So not really a good option. France might possibly be a good option, but I don't, je ne parle français, right? I don't really speak French. And Spanish, though no lo hablo bien, I do understand it, right? I understand it fluently for the most part because my mom only speaks in Spanish. So just that alone, that exposure alone allows me to comprehend it, even though I can't really speak it so well. And I think a lot of that has to do with some kind of psychology. The reason being, whenever I try to speak to my mom in Spanish, for some reason, she doesn't understand me. She only understands me when I speak in English. So obviously, that I do believe that plays a part into it. But because I can understand Spanish, I believe Spain would be a good option. And I did a quick, cursory, internet search, looking it up and stuff, and they are pretty progressive in their political leanings. Definitely better than England and the U.S., of course. And Germany also is having its own problems, and I don't know any German, except maybe how do you say thank you, Dunjikin? That stupid song by I don't even remember the guy's name. Barry Newton, maybe. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Point is, Germany is not an option. And of course, none of the Slavic countries, the Netherlands, Denmark, Sweden, those languages are complete alien to me. Español, a lo menos, Spanish at the very least, is something that I understand listening, right? I do need to learn how to read it. I need to learn how to write it, grammatically correct. and of course speak it properly. So yeah, so that is what my plan is. And one of the ways of doing it is I'm watching a Spanish telenovela called La Baby Sister. It is a Spanish telenovela from, I want to say, 2000, early 2000s or mid 2000s, maybe mid 2000s. Mark Anthony's single "I Need to Know" was around that time. You know what? Let me look that up. Actually, I should have looked that up already. Silly me. Let's look it up. So yeah, the show actually came out in 2000. So 2000 on the dot. So yeah, I was pretty much on the money, and I guess that's when Mark Anthony's crossover album came out, and his single "I Need to Know" was on it because that's the theme song of la novela La Baby Sister. And so it's on this website called Vix.com, which is also available through Amazon Prime Video, which I still have at the moment. They have this Vix free option called Vix Gratis. Gratis is Spanish for free, of course. You get a 1 year free membership for their free content. And this novela, which I've always wanted to see when I knew about it back in 2000 and I didn't get to, I'm able to see now. So that's what I'm watching, featuring Paola Rey, the lead actress of La Telenovela, who plays, what does she play? She plays like, she's the babysitter. But of course, as the title suggests, La Baby Sister, her English is awful. And she thinks a babysitter is like a sisterly figure in a household. You know, the nanny is like a sister. That's why she calls it baby sister instead of baby sitter. So yeah, her character's name is Fabiana Estrella Rivera. Wow, she has a long ass name. What is it? Fabiana Estrella Rivera Chitivi. Wow, Chitiva. I can't even say that right. Chitiva. So yeah, as you can tell, my Spanish is atrocious. Pero yo necesito aprender. Entonces, I'm going to use this novela as a starting point to at least be exposed to Spanish more, because obviously the best way to learn a language is to be exposed to it. So I'm listening to some Spanish music when I'm not listening to podcasts or watching other English content like Farscape that I'm still watching, and those role playing things. So La Baby Sister, I'm watching. I'm on episode 20 something now. It's been about 4 days or so that I've been starting this. So I've of course put the K-drama on hold for the moment once I found out that this show was available. And yeah, I'm going to get Rosetta Stone back on my phone and on my computer. I do have a lifetime membership available that I haven't used in a number of years. I was using Duolingo for a while, and then I stopped doing that as well. So yeah, I want to get back on it because yeah, I need a contingency plan of getting out of here. If this country is just getting worse and worse. Now there's a war on Cuba emerging. They're making some lame excuses, some pretenses for a reason to attack an already starving nation that has been oppressed by the U.S. for decades, which has only gotten worse since we've invaded Venezuela and took away their president, kidnapped their president, who was Cuba's last option to get oil. So now they're not getting. So they've been oil starved during this whole oil crisis that we're currently having because of the war in Iran that we also have going on. And yeah, it's just this American empire is just accelerating its downfall and demise, and it's only going to get uglier as things keep moving. A lot of illegal laws and legal, quote unquote, legal actions are going through right now that are just going to make living here more and more miserable. And even though there are some small victories, some glimmer of hope, as Hassan Piker would like to say, for instance, like David or Chris Robb winning in Philadelphia, and a couple of other candidates, progressive candidates, winning their primaries in their respective areas. it's still a long ways away from taking back control, because in the meantime, the ones in control everything. They controlled, well, the president, they control the executive branch, they control Congress, so that's the legislative branch, and of course the judicial. The three branches of government are already overrun by by the Republicans, the right wing MAGA cult that is currently burning this country to the ground. And the Supreme Court already, from his original term, passed laws, or they, I should say, I don't know, they don't pass. Well, yeah, they, whatever the Supreme Court does. I'm getting the term wrong, because obviously the legislative branch is the one who writes the laws, and then the judicial branch, the Supreme Court, they're the ones who judge it, or make this decision over it, whether it's constitutional or not. And they, in their right wing agenda, what's the word? Conflict of interest, obviously, but in their right wing leaning way, judged that it is constitutional for the president to, well, okay, let me get the wording correct. Basically, what they've stated is that the president has complete immunity from anything they do, no matter what they do. If it was anyone else, not the president, doing it, and it was illegal, if you're the president, it's no longer illegal. So the president, he can rob, cheat, kill, and steal. And even though legally, according to the laws set in stone, those are crimes, if it's the president, it doesn't matter. He's immune. So just that alone is the reason why he's been able to just start wars that you can't, the president can't declare or start a war. They're supposed to take that approval comes from Congress, but it doesn't matter, because the Congress, again, is overrun by the right wings anyway, and they've allowed him to do the loophole of preemptive strikes and just changing the name. It was Operation something Fury, and now they're calling it Sledgehammer or some other nonsense. There was a wars resolution that was supposed to be enacted to stop this thing in Iran, and the people in power, who are, the right-wing MAGA cult, they decided to, no, you know what, instead of deciding on that, we're just going to shut down the House, go on vacation. We're not going to decide on this. So while the Congress is shut down, President can basically do what he wants still, because, hey, nothing's stopping him. So anyways, that's my long rant based on the way things are going, it's not going to get any better. It's only going to get worse. They keep cutting measures for programs that help society. The rich keep getting tax breaks and other cuts and other things in their favor. The forever chemicals that were illegal to dump into the rivers and waters, bodies of water in our country for the last few decades, have been removed. So now, all those chemicals can go back into the water and destroy us again. So yay, pollution is on the rise. Yay, gas prices are up. Yay, more starving and killing. Yay, that's what this country is amounted to. Racism is okay now. So white supremacy is only going to get worse and worse. Oppression is going to get worse and worse. And yeah, I don't want to be around for that. I don't care enough to fight all of this. I'm just one person who is 49 years old, who is struggling to make ends meet, who, if he gets a break and can find the monies to get the F out, I'm going to take that step. I'm over it. I'm done. So yes, back to watching La Baby Sister. This is actually a shorter episode than I thought it was going to be, because there are no notes. I'm just rambling here, which is fine. So yeah, I want to get fluent in Spanish. So Mirando La Baby Sister, con Paola Rey, is my first step in doing it. Rosetta Stone is step 2, and just practicing on Rosetta Stone and watching other Spanish programming and listening to Spanish music is the way. So quick synopsis on La Baby Sister. As I mentioned, Paola Rey is Fabiana, who is the babysitter of this family, the Luna family, and she's from the ghetto. She's from a poor family. Obviously, she lives in the ghetto. I forget what El Barrio. That's what they call it in the telenovela. In El Barrio, as where she lives. They live in a nice posh mansion, the Lunas. But of course, the wife, Mrs. Luna, Isabel Luna, is a bit of a no, sorry, Leticia. Leticia Luna is a bit of a no. Wait, Leticia is someone else. What's his name? Daniel Luna. That's the husband. She didn't keep the Luna name? I could have sworn she did. All right, so the name Veronica? All right, I am so bad with names. Anyways, the point is the wife of Daniel Luna, she's a bit of a narcissist and she has this perceived worldview of how her life is and how everything around her is. And she is so self-deluded in this perfect way that her life is being projected to everyone that she doesn't ever take accountability for anything. She doesn't want to ever accept that there's anything wrong with what she's doing or with her family or anything. And so constantly being like that and never listening but acting like she always knows best obviously has caused some cracks in the foundation of this in this family. And she released this book, called 10 years of a honeymoon, basically trying to say that their 10 years of marriage has been nothing but a honeymoon to them. It's been so blissfully perfect. And in this book, in chapter 3 of the book, she basically says that her husband era the Spanish word for tadpole, guac, whatever. He's a tadpole, basically meaning he wasn't good in bed. She had to teach him how to be good in bed. So this is being, and that's the chapter that they used to promote the book to make it hot for selling, because the manager slash editor, producer, or whatever agent of her decides to use that salacious chapter to help sell it. And of course, that chapter is humiliating and embarrassing Daniel, nationwide. So everyone around them is hearing this about him, and that's the starting, the like the final nail in the coffin to really cause the cracks in that marriage. So the big premiere night that the book releases in the party, there's people whispering around it. Can you believe that her husband was bad in bed in the beginning, and she had to train him and make him become a good lover because he was so bad at it and whatever. And he never read the book, so he didn't know that until that very night. So they have an altercation in the back. She's like, you're getting hysterical. Of course she doesn't see anything wrong, saying, oh, don't worry, this is not a big deal. I don't understand why you're so embarrassed. Like, what's the big deal? Like, why are you so emotional? Why are you so upset? It's just a silly chapter. No one's really gonna think about it. And this is about our family, and maybe I might have been a little hyperbolic, but what does it matter? We have a perfect family, don't we? We're a perfect relationship. Why does it bother you so much? Like, look how good I look in this book. Like, all about me, 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 me. Like how great everything is going in my favor. So you shouldn't care as much about your hurt feelings, so to speak. So obviously that doesn't sit well with him, and the fact that she doesn't see reason and understands why he would be upset about being made a fool like this, being humiliated in public like this. He storms off, and in that very same episode, she feels aggrieved, like a typical narcissist would, who never sees anything wrong on her end. Like, she never does anything wrong, and she goes to her friend's house. This guy Jorge, who apparently has this crush on her. He's always been in love with her, and wanted to be the one that she married, but she ended up marrying Danielle instead. And they have a night where she feels aggrieved and starts basically leaning on him for emotional support, and then they start going at it. They start kissing and whatnot. Meanwhile, on the other side, you have Danielle Luna. He storms off with his friend, whose name I don't remember. I think it's Jorge. No, it's not Jorge. That's the other one. Anyway, they go. They first go to a club, and that's where Fabiana meets him initially. Well, I mean, they knew each other from school because he's also a professor at her college. But regardless, they meet that night at the school for at the club for a bit. But also his teacher's assistant, Danielle's teacher assistant, is there, and her name I whatever, I don't remember names. I think it's Veronica. Yeah, Veronica. She's there, and she has a like a Yandir complex about him. She's psychotic in her feelings for him, and she believes that she's the true love of his life, and she'll be able to conquer his heart and show him why she's the better option than his wife. So she basically invites him to her place, and they start going at it too. But eventually, he comes to his senses, and he decides to leave. Unfortunately, one of his cuffs on his sleeve falls off on the floor. So she eventually uses that to help cause a scandal later in the show. Meanwhile, in Jorge's house, they're going at it, and unlike Danielle, who put a stop to realizing having his faculties come back to him, even though he's drunk and angry, realizing that this is wrong. I'm a married man. I shouldn't be doing this, even though I'm upset and I'm acting out. I should really think about my 10 years of marriage, my kids, and everything. So, unlike him, his wife doesn't stop. And in fact, it's her friend Jorge who puts a stop to it and is like, okay, here's where we're going to stop. We're not going to go further than kissing because I do love you. And I know you obviously are also attracted to me. However, you have this thing. You're married, number one. And two, I'm not going to have anything to do with you until you decide to be fully committed to me. Because yeah, I have feelings for you. I do love you. But unless you can be with me in an actual relationship, I'm not going to be a lover and be tossed aside when it's no longer. I think her name is Isabel. It is Isabel. When it's no longer convenient for you, and you decide that you do want to keep your marriage with Danielle, which apparently it does seem that is what she cares about more than anything. So that's the very first episode, and things just escalate from there. I'm at the point now where that girl, the Veronica, convinces because she had a whatchamacallit. She had a meeting with Danielle at a restaurant, and she convinced Isabel's producer, who has a crush on her as well. So she's been seducing Isabel's agent. Let's just call him an agent. And I think his name is Fidel. No. That's the father for what's her face for La Baby Sister, Fabiana. That's Fabiana's father. Anyways, where am I going with the plot? Right. So Veronica, the Fatal Attractions person who wants to steal Danielle from his wife. No matter how many times Danielle says, that one night was a mistake, nothing else is going to happen beyond that, and get away from me. You're no longer my teacher's assistant. I fired you from that, and get away. So her last attempt was like, okay, I understand it. Just meet me, one last time as your teacher's assistant because I have these documents that I need you to sign. And so they go to this restaurant. That's not too far from his job, his office, because he also has a law firm. And while they're meeting there, as I mentioned, Isabel, his wife, her agent, who's into Veronica, convinces that if you help me with this, I'll let you have sex with me. Which of course she ends up not doing it because she doesn't want him. She wants Danielle. So she just used her wiles to fool this guy into believing that he'll get to sleep with her if he helps her destroy this marriage. So while they're sitting at the like one of the tables outside of the restaurant, and they're inside the restaurant. He's inside the restaurant with a photographer to take these pictures that look scandalous because she starts like wiping his mouth at one point. She she trips a waiter to accidentally spill coffee on him. So as he's up, like trying to clean himself off, she's like all over him, and then she somehow pretends like she's falling over. So he obviously makes the attempt to stop her from falling. So it looks like she's in his arms, like they're about to do some passionate kiss in his arms like that. And then of course she does flat out kiss him at one point. She just goes in and kisses him in the face. And at that point he's like, I'm getting the hell out of here. I don't know what this is about. And so all those pictures were taken, and the way it was done, it looks like it was all consensual, which it wasn't, and it wasn't honest. It was just her doing all these things, and him being ignorant of it all. So those photos are enough to convince Isabel that yeah, he cheated on her because she never listened to anything he says. It's always, and of course, she probably wants it to be true as well because she obviously was about to cheat on her husband with Jorge. But of course, there's no proof of that because Jorge put a stop to it. Is not trying to reveal this to anybody. It's just between them two. So if my marriage is gonna fall apart, it's not going to be because of me. I'm the perfect woman. Everything about me is perfect. It has to be his fault. And I did not cheat on him with my friend Jorge. He cheated on me with his teacher's assistant, which he didn't. Though he did kiss her that night, but he then went away from it. Whereas she did her thing and she wanted to continue it, and he didn't. Anyways, on top of that, of course, La baby sister, Fabiana, also has a crush on him. However, unlike Veronica, he doesn't want to. She's not trying to break the marriage. She's doing her best to fight her attraction to him while being a good baby sister. Sorry, a babysitter. Let me say it correctly, unlike her, and take care of his kids. So that's basically the dynamics of La Telenovela. You have Fabiana, who does pine for Danielle, but isn't acting on it. Danielle, of course, is also kind of pining for Fabiana. And for the moment, he isn't really acting on it. But now that the marriage is essentially ruined because the wife is waiting for him to ask for forgiveness for something he didn't do. And she won't listen to him saying anything other than he committed adultery. She won't let him, she won't accept that that's not true. She is accepting those photos from quote unquote the mistress as fact instead of as something that was done, some elaborate ruse. And also on top of that, her agent, who's responsible for those photos being taken, he's not going to say nothing, but he wants the marriage to be fixed when he's the one who caused all this, right? Let's not forget the fact that had he never blew up chapter 3 for everyone to listen to pay attention to, calling him una, is it guana? You know what? I'm gonna have to find out what the word is now that it's annoying me. Un renacuajo. So yeah, he's the one who kept stressing how chapter 3 is so salacious because Isabel, Danielle's wife, called him un renacuajo in the beginning of their relationship. So had he not started the first true fracture by humiliating Danielle Luna in public, and then helping his love interest who doesn't care for him, but is actually obsessed with Danielle, and so by him helping Veronica further damage that marriage into where it is right now. Now he has no right to be upset about it, about the results, and he is obviously not going to admit that he's partly responsible for everything because obviously it's not going to work for him anyway. It's he's going to obviously get fired as the agent, or this will be their last arrangement. This last job together, and And well, yeah, that's essentially it. He doesn't. He's not going to take responsibility for his part in this whole thing. He's hoping that they'll just fix it on their, that they'll just resolve it somehow. That Isabel will finally listen to reason and finally. I mean, because how can 10 years of marriage just be thrown out by this one woman with these photos without even trying to have a conversation with Daniel? You just want him to say, "I'm sorry for cheating on you," when he's telling you, like however many times that they tried discussing this, I did not cheat on you. I did kiss her that night that I found out you called me un renacuajo, a tadpole, but I did not go beyond that. And you, Isabel, who wanted to go further than a kiss, obviously are not going to admit that you did that also the same night, right? So it's like she won't admit that her own flaws, and she just wants him to take all the blame. So now the other thing that she's doing at the moment, where I'm on like episode 26 or so. Now that they're separated, and she's living, she moved in with her family, with her parents. So now Danielle is stuck with the kids, which of course he doesn't mind. He loves his kids. Like that's like outside of the marriage falling apart. The one thing he does care about is his kids, because also he's also as a child had he was raised by a single mom, because obviously his father was a deadbeat. So they went through a divorce because the actual situation, he cheated on her or whatever and then left them. So he doesn't want to abandon his kids. He doesn't want to be the estranged father in a relationship. He wants to be fully committed to his children, because he didn't have that. He didn't have that growing up. So he doesn't want his kids to have that same problematic past that he did with his father. But on top of that, even though she decided to leave the house, because he's like, you don't have to leave the house. You can stay here and I'll leave if you want. But she decides to leave the house, and then on top of deciding to leave the house, she tells the kids, she's emotionally manipulating the kids, and she should know better, being a psychologist. And that's, well, I'll get to that next point. But so she's manipulating the kids, traumatically, psychologically, emotionally torturing them by saying, the reason I can't live in the house with you guys is that your father doesn't want me to be in the house, because he wants the house free to be with his lover. Because and the reason why we're having problems is that he cheated on me. He cheated on me, and he doesn't want me in the house, and that's why I can't be here. So I'm sorry, but until your father invites me back into the house, I can't be here. So I'm sorry. I only asked it that you make sure that there's no other woman in this house taking my place. So she's emotionally manipulating them in that way by lying to them about why she's not at the house, and putting all the blame on the father. And then on top of that, like if they have the doctor's appointments, or like shows at the school or whatever, she tries to sabotage Daniel's plans to meet them with his scheduling. Like he there was this one day where the son had a dentist appointment. I think it was the orthodontist for his braces. The daughter had a ballet recital. And of course, he had a meeting with a client that he missed the day before because of the mess that was starting with this whole family situation. So the doctor's appointment was at 6. The recital was like at 4, and the client's meeting was at 12. Well, the mother, Isabel, she decides to call the doctor's appointment and says, "Can you push it up to 4 o'clock?" And so that way both the dentist appointment and the recital will be at the same time, and also it'll screw him up if he doesn't find out. And she apparently called the client because he's a good personal family friend, and he decides to help her. So she probably gave him this whole kid and caboodle story about him being a him cheating on her and whatnot. And if you could do me the favor and help make his life miserable by showing up 2 hours late to your meeting. So it's just all this crazy manipulation that she's doing, instead of like, let's have a real discussion and try to like resolve it like adults. She's being petty about it all, and because she just thinks she's right, and he just needs to accept that he cheated on me and ask for forgiveness, and then all will be well, and we can be a loving family again, and he'll just have to always be the subservient and apologetic husband, a reformed husband, that's all. Whereas he didn't cheat on you, and you actually wanted to cheat on him, and you're also pitting the children against him. Like, you're just causing this unnecessary trauma to your children. Like, and she's gleeful about it. Which is is just awful and disgusting. Like, how can you be a loving mother and do this to your children purposefully? Like, you're not doing it out of like in the heat of the moment. You are being calculating and creating these machinations that are making your children's life miserable. And oh yeah, so on top of that, obviously the school is noticing that their behavior is changing. And so the school counselor wanted to meet up with them to discuss having the kids go to a therapist to help them, readjust, because obviously their behavior has changed for the worst, and there might be some family trouble at home that's causing this change in their temperament. And of course, the wife's like, no, no, nothing's wrong in our household. How dare you try to put the blame on us for your bad schooling? How dare you try to justify your role as the student, as the school counselor, to try to try to justify your pay by creating this cockamamie story to psychoanalyze my children and try to psychoanalyze me? How dare you? I am a psychologist myself, with this many years of blah blah blah, and you're just a mere student, a mere school counselor. How dare you try to judge me, you miserable little whatever? And which is obviously a lie, because there's obviously are problems in the household, because they're not even living together, but she doesn't want to admit it. And obviously there's issues with the kids, and she knows this already, but she never accepts it. In fact, whenever the kids do anything wrong, like for instance, one of the first things that happened was when Fabiana, her first day as a babysitter, she was supposed to pick them up, and she got there late, so the kids hid themselves. And so she freaked out, called Danielle to help her find the kids, because she can't find them. They're nowhere to be found. Apparently, they went with someone else. So Danielle shows up, and then they magically appeared around the corner. And so she basically got let go for being irresponsible and not being there on time and having this whole situation happen, because obviously you can't be responsible to take care of the kids. Then they finally discovered that this was all a plot by the daughter. The daughter set this all up, and in fact, Fabiana, wasn't at fault. So Danielle, of course, wanted the kids. He punished the kids. He grounded them. The daughter, because she's the one who was responsible for this whole fiasco. But the mother's like, no, you're no longer grounded. I released the grounded, because like, whatever. Lesson learned and whatever. And she's like, no, we need to ground her so she can learn consequences of her actions. And he's like, oh, Danielle, there's nothing wrong. Like, it's a simple misunderstanding. It's just a simple joke. Ha ha ha. And that's how she basically addresses it when she calls Fabiana. Can you come back to work? It was just a simple misunderstanding. Ha 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 ha. No hard feelings, right? And she's like, excuse me, my livelihood was at risk on this misunderstanding. This joke, as you call it, got me fired. Like, how dare you? Like, no, I deserve more respect than that. And she's like, oh really? Well then okay, fine, bye. We don't need you. And of course, Danielle superseded that and was like, well, no, obviously we are in the wrong here. How dare you expect her to just accept it like nothing? Of course, she's going to be upset and offended that you're belittling her getting fired over our daughter's actions. So yeah, that's the kind of the attitude that the wife has. So coming back to the present, like, yeah, so she's manipulative of her kids and whatnot. And this is where my suspension of belief starts getting fractured a little, in that Jorge, I mean, a lot of these characters are awful all around. But Jorge, the friend, the best friend who's in love with Isabel apparently, who's also a child psychologist. So he deals with kids. That is his profession. He takes care of kids, and most of them obviously come from troubled families. And he's like, how can you do this to your own children? Like, do you even care about your children? Like, do you love your children? Like, if you love your children, how could you do this to them? And she's like, it's just a simple No, it's not that I'm doing anything evil to them. It's just a simple necessity that I have to do so that Danielle can come to his senses and grovel on his knees and ask for forgiveness for cheating on me because he cheated on me. He's why am I being looked at? Why am I being seen as the bad guy here? Like, how am I the bad guy? He cheated on me, which of course, again, he did not. And so anyway, my point is, he's hearing this crazy rationalization that this woman is doing, her distortion reality, where she could do no wrong, and it's always everyone else's fault that things aren't working the way she wants them to work. How can you be in love with her, especially after this? Like, you're a child psychologist. You deal with kids who are traumatized by this kind of behavior from abusive, toxic parents. And yet, here's this love interest of yours doing the same thing so casually, so methodically, without any care in the world. In fact, she's so gleeful when her plans are succeeding and her kids are suffering because Danielle is suffering. So that, yes, that's good. That makes me feel better about myself, and I get to come out the hero, and it's good because now he's going to come back to me. That's how he'll come back to me. I'm not going to get a divorce. No, none of this is going to get worse. It's not going to get escalated. Which, like, are you living in reality? How do you expect him to come back to you when you're being horrible to him and to your children? That's only going to make him decide that, yeah, divorce is necessary. Like, she's deluding herself and thinking that this is going to save the marriage by being miserable instead of trying to come to a common ground and actually talking and listening. So anyways, that's where I'm at with the novela, and that's the basic premise. And yeah, that's my start to getting back to prendiendo el español y aprender a hablarlo. And who knows, maybe voy a vivir en España un día. So yeah, that is all. And that wraps up the show. If you have any questions, comments, or any thoughts you'd like to share, you can reach me by clicking on the Contact Me link in the show notes. If you're feeling extra generous, you can click on the donate link in the show notes and send some dollars my way. This show is licensed under Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 International License. This means you can share this audio, remix it, do whatever you want, just say where you got it from. And as always, thanks for listening.